Hello students, today we are going to be looking at graphs. There are some terms that you need to know about graphs. The first one is slope, and slope equals rise over run, which would be the same thing as y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You might have learned another equation for slope in your math class, and as of right now in science you don't need to worry about that one, you just need to worry about the rise over run. Another term you need to know is direct proportion. This is a relationship in which the ratio of two variables is constant. The ratio means that you're dividing, so you're taking the variable of one divided by the variable of the other, and if you keep doing that for every single point on the graph, it will be equal to each other. A direct proportion graph looks like that. I would probably sketch that in your notes as well. And then the other type is inverse proportion. That's a relationship in which the product of two variables is constant. So that means if you take your y times your x in the graph at each point, they'll always be equal to each other. An inverse proportion looks like that, and I would draw that into your notes as well. Okay, there are three types of graph. There's a circle graph, and we'll work a little bit with circle graphs throughout the year, not that much. Circle graphs show how a part is related to a whole. In a circle graph, it's always showing the percentage, so you'd have to find percentages first, and it shows how that relates to the whole idea. And then there's a bar graph. We'll somewhat work with bar graphs, and then a line graph. A line graph we'll use most often in this class. So we're going to practice making a line graph and interpreting it a little bit. So what I would do is we are going to create a line graph using the information below, and we will practice more with this tomorrow in class. But what you should do is first copy down this information. So if you need a pause, pause. So now we're going to graph this, and every graph needs to have a title, which we'll do at the end, and you need to have your axes labeled. We are going to actually put our mass on the y-axis. So we're going to put our mass over here, and so we should write mass, and we should also include a unit. Our mass was in grams on that table. And then we want to put our volume down here, and we should include a unit as well. Our volume was in milliliters. Then what you always want to do is you need to figure out your scale. You want to make your graph as big as possible. So our mass, the highest was 18.69 grams, so you should probably go up to about 19 or 20. And the best way to do that is count how many lines you have. So if you count, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So you can't have them each be 1 because you can't make it that way. So what we can do is have every line be 2. You don't have to write 2 and then 4 and then 6 and then 8 because that would get excessive. So you can go every other one if you want. So we'll have 0 at the bottom, and then we'll have 4, and then we'll have 8, 12, 16, and 20. For volume, you want to do the same idea. So you can count the numbers you can count how many lines you have. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So you've got 23 lines, and you need to have at least 20.2, so that means every line could be 1. Once again, you don't have to label every single one. If you want to do every 5, that would be fine. Okay, so after you've gotten what they are, once you've labeled both of your axes and put the numbers down, then you can make your points. So the first point is 5.05 grams. So you want to find 5. It's going to be a little bit more than 5, just a hair, which will be up here. So 5 will be somewhere in between the 4 and the 6, so around here. And then you've got 5.5 milliliters, which would be halfway between the 5 and the 6. So we've got up here and in the middle. So there would be your first dot. Make your next 3 dots. So pause and make your next 3 dots. So now we're going to make the next 3 dots. So we've got 10.55 grams. 10 is right here. It's going to be slightly above that. And we've got 12.3 milliliters. 12 would be here. It's going to be a little bit above that. So we've got about here. And then we've got 16.5 milliliters, which is going to be about here. And 14.20. So about here. And then 20.2 and 18.69. So about there. After that, sometimes you want to connect the dots and sometimes you want to make a line of best fit. For our graph, we actually want to make a line of best fit. And I will tend to tell you what one you want to do. Line of best fit means that you're not necessarily going to get all the dots, but you're going to try to get as many as you can. Some dots might be a little above or below the line, and that's fine. So there's my line of best fit. Now what we're going to do is we're going to calculate the slope. Remember, slope is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So you can use any 2 points that you want. If you notice, my second and fourth point land on the line, so we can use those. So we would get 18.69 grams minus your 10.55 grams divided by 20.2 milliliters minus 12.3 milliliters. You should solve for this, pause and solve for this. So looking at this, I got 8.14 grams on top and 7.9 milliliters on the bottom. That would equal 1.03 grams per milliliter. So that is the slope of this. Now, we need to create a title, and we're going to touch right a little bit more back on that slope. Because this is a mass and volume, a fine title would be mass versus volume. It tells you what's on both axes, so that would be a wonderful title. Now, we're going to look at that slope a little bit more, and notice what unit the slope is in. It's in grams per milliliter. I want you to pause and think about what that unit is for. So your 1.03 grams per milliliter was your slope. If you remember, this unit is also for density. So a big note for this is that the slope of a mass versus volume graph is equal to density of that object. We'll talk more about that in class. That is it for today's notes.